Welcome back to Chumming with the Spirits. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. We're here at the Missouri Paracon at the Ameristar Casino in Kansas City, Kansas.
Not what I ordered.
It's been a pretty cool weekend. Lots of speakers here from TV. And we actually have a special guest today with us, Peyton, who's very interested in the paranormal and wanted to kind of ask people some questions about the paranormal. So, as always, Parachum here. We got JD and OG. We kind of wanted to just sit down and answer some of his questions that he had for us. So, why don't you take it away, Peyton? What question do you want to ask us first?
What got you into the paranormal?
Great question. You want to start, OG?
I didn't hear what he said.
What got you into the paranormal?
Oh, well, that is a good question. Everybody has a different story, but mine happened actually. I was probably like 6 years old when I saw my first ghost apparition in my closet when I was a kid playing with my toys, and not knowing what a ghost was at 5 years old. To me, it was just a little girl watching me play with my toys. Didn't think nothing about it, and then so that kind of got me going down the road. My first ghost sighting.
Again, for me, I grew up in an older house, Victorian. I have a sister that's a little older than me. And being a younger brother, I like to spook her every once in a while. So I heard her coming down the stairs because we had this big wooden banister stairway. And I snuck underneath the banister. When she hit the landing, I jumped out to scare her, and there was nobody there. So I ran upstairs, asked her what she was doing, and she just was sitting in her bedroom listening to music. I had no idea what I was talking about, and that's kind of got me. And then I started having more activity later on.
Yeah. For me, it was, I hate to admit it, it was a little... a child too, living in Pennsylvania, in Coatesville. We lived in what my sister would call a haunted house, and every night she would wake up and see me standing in her doorway and get mad and tell me, "Junior, go back to sleep." And she would get up and grab my hand and walk me back to my bedroom, and realizing that I was already in bed asleep and that the person's hand that she was holding was gone. It happened almost every night for almost 2 years, and apparently I would sit up in my room and talk to someone and play with another kid. I don't remember any of it, but I think that's what kind of pushed me into the paranormal after hearing that. What about you, buddy?
I was laying in bed like a few weeks after somebody passed, and then I looked through my doorway. I saw my grandpa, who had passed, standing right there in the doorway waving at me. Then I get up to go hug him, and I blink and he vanishes.
Wow. And you could make out that it was your grandfather? Like, that's crazy.
And how did you feel about that?
Spooked me a little bit, but also made me kind of happy.
Made you happy?
Because you know that he was there.
Felt like he was checking in on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
That's a very positive story. You don't hear that very often. That's cool. What other questions you got for us?
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen? Like the craziest paranormal activity you've ever seen?
I don't want to scare him.
You're fine.
So the first, I would say, if you guys don't mind me going off first.
No, you're already talking. Go.
I think the first oh crap moment for me in the paranormal, we were investigating a place that we're actually going to be at a Paracon in April in Ellenwood, Kansas. They had all these old underground tunnels because back in the heyday in the 1800s, the tunnels underneath the businesses were where they stored the coal to warm the buildings. But when natural gas came out, they moved all the businesses that people didn't want to see down below. So they had brothels, bars, harness shops, and I was sitting on a stool with my back against the brick wall or stone wall, and all of a sudden it felt like someone wrapped their arms around me, squeezed me, and tried to yank me back through the wall. And I stood up, and it scared me. But I think that's one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me.
Well, I've never seen anything that scared me as far as seeing apparitions, because to me, your mind's got to adjust what you're seeing. I can tell you I was doing the Stanley Hotel. I was actually with Ghost Hunters Grant Wilson, hunting with him. and we were outside where the men would have their drinks out, and it's like a little library study area. And I saw a guy walking back and forth on this little platform. I felt like he was interrupting the investigation. It was a short, stocky man with a long beard. And I looked at him like, I was getting mad, like, you are interrupting us. What are you doing? And then when I went to the door to open it up to see where this guy went, because he never came back, he was gone. And from head to toe, he was solid gray. There was no, and it clicked. Oh my gosh, I think I just saw a ghost. But it never unnerved me. It never made me scared. The only thing that's ever really unnerved me, I saw a shadow man doing the Masonic Lodge in Kansas City with Larry, and I saw a shadow guy peek his head out like this and then walked across the doorway, and I saw it, and so did another guy named Rick. And they go, hey, why don't you go see what that is? And like a bonehead, I went over by myself because those two guys wouldn't get up and go see it. So that kind of unnerved me a little bit.
Yeah, we volunteered you for that one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like OG. I haven't had any that just scared me. The more frustrating things is, like, of all places, where I was at Parachum's apartment, and he has a video of the door closing on him, and we were recording some stuff, and I just came out of the bathroom, left the light on. The light was on the wall, and I looked, and my phone with the microphones, my microphones were dead. They're flashing, so I went and grabbed my phone. I started plugging them in so I could charge them, because we're trying to see if we're getting EVPs or anything. And as I'm messing with my phone, a shadow on the wall in the hallway shows up, about 5'7", 5'8". Clear as day, it's a shadow, just like I just walked out of the bathroom. I turn my head, and it shoots down the hallway. I mean, super fast. Parachum's like, you saw that, right? And I was so frustrated because I had the camera, had my phone in my hand, and didn't put it up to record any of it. So I missed that opportunity. I was more frustrated with that. But that was one of the ones that was just clear as day. There's a shadow that no one else is in there, and goes right down the hallway. And it's like, and we didn't capture it.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens more often than I'd like to admit. But sometimes you forget to take the camera and turn it. And
so have you ever experienced anything crazy?
I was scratched.
You were scratched? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was right on my back, like in between my shoulder blades. And I turn around to see anything, and I just see like a shadow figure's foot. I just see the foot go behind a wall, and I peek around the wall, and there's nothing.
Wow, what was the set?
I actually don't remember where it was, I think.
I would try to forget that too.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really remember where it was.
So what's your next question?
So yeah, what's your next question, bud?
How do you handle doubters?
Very great question. How do we handle doubters? That's a really tough question when it comes to the paranormal, because 20 or 30 years ago, it was easy to...
It's not showing up? Oh, we're not live. We're recording right now. So we'll post this pretty shortly.
Tomorrow. 20 or 30 years ago, it was easy to collect audio and video evidence, and people would believe it more. But with the evolution of artificial intelligence, I think it's become harder to get people to understand that this hasn't been manipulated. I would just say that you have to look at it as this person had a personal experience. That holds more weight to me than anything, because they went through this occurrence. They know what they experienced, and no amount of doubt or doubters out there can take that away from someone. What do you guys think?
For me, when it comes to doubters, you personally are not going to be able to convince them otherwise.
True.
As Parachum's saying, as technology gets better, you can edit things, you can make things look fake. That take it with a grain of salt. If they don't believe, then they just never had that experience. You
Yep.
said, we can disagree on it. This is what I think, and move on. A lot of people, we deal with a lot of doubters, but a lot of times if they go on investigations, that starts changing. Like,
they understand.
They start seeing things that you can't 100% explain. That's how I've dealt with it. they're going to have their opinion until they have their own personal experience. Because you can show them a bunch of evidence. Look how much evidence we have for like Bigfoot, and people still don't believe in that. So
or aliens.
Or aliens, What do you think, OG?
As far as doubters, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, because to me it doesn't matter what they feel, whether I saw something or whatever. And to this day, I can't, even when I told you just the 2 instances I had, I can't tell you what it was. I cannot 100% tell you that was a ghost that I saw or something else. And then when I hear a story from Parachum or JD, I always say, you have it on film? Do you have any proof? No, well then to me it's just a story, right? So unless you got some kind of documentation that you saw what you saw, it's a story. I'm not saying it's a bad story, but people are going to doubt no matter what. You're not going to be able to change their mind. Everybody has their own views. You know what? And that's healthy. To be skeptical about stuff like, I'm probably one of the biggest skeptic guys out there in the paranormal field.
Well, if you're not skeptical, you can't ask those questions.
Yeah, and I want to see something 6 or 7 times before I come like, okay, that's legit,
Yeah, and it does help, because like if you have a doubter, they're going to come up with other solutions. Like, okay, well maybe it was the AC kicking on. Well, you can test that. Or maybe somebody stepped on the floor in a certain way, and you can test that. So they can help out to debunk things, to make sure 100%, because like if they prove that wasn't it, they're just helping you explain everything, especially on investigation.
It'll make you grow in the field as well, if that's
Absolutely.
what you want to do.
You have any more questions?
Yeah, I have 2 more. What's the craziest story you've ever heard?
The craziest story I've ever heard. Okay, I got a good one for you guys.
I know a good one that was told.
This is a historical story, and I don't have the picture on me right now. I wish I did, but my sister moved to Bradenton, Florida about 6 years ago, and I went to go visit, and they know I'm into ghosts and all that kind of stuff, and they took me on a haunted walking tour of Bradenton. Well, the end of the tour ended at a bar. It's a bar now, basically right on the beach. And they told us a story that back when the town was being developed, it was a general store run by a lady, and the ships would come into the harbor and they would unload everything and purchase goods at her store. Well, she had a fascination with these 2 little girls that would always play out in the sand in front of her store, and she became so enthralled and fascinated by them that something took over her, and she invited them in for tea one day, poisoned them, and killed them, but felt so bad about what she had done, she painted a portrait of herself that looks grotesque, and then killed herself. That painting you can still see in the rafters of the bar. They preserved it. It just makes you wonder, like, what happened? Why did she decide to do something like that? I thought that was a pretty crazy story.
The craziest story I know of, which I was really surprised Parachum didn't talk about, is the Bell Witch story.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only documented in the United States history of somebody's death being attributed to supernatural causes. The father was poisoned. They don't know where the poison came from. He had been haunted for up to 3 years.
Yep.
And the courts decided, it was the early
1800s.
Ruled it as he was murdered by a supernatural force.
Andrew Jackson actually, the stories were so...
Definitely look into it. It's American history.
It's documented. Andrew Jackson actually wanted to experience what was going on with the family. Stayed the night at that house one night and was so upended that he actually said a quote, "I would rather take on the entire British Army than stay one more night in that house." The Bell Witch down in Tennessee. Yeah. No, this is a. You should look it up. They made a movie about it that was kind of
not so great.
So with Donald Sutherland. What about you, OG?
Well, probably the craziest story I ever heard, and I'm staying true to this. A very close friend of mine, I think he's close to me. Him and another friend were doing an investigation, and they were in some kind of lot, a parking lot, or a field, and they saw something moving around their car. There was a couple of them in the car. It was at nighttime. And then they, for some reason, they were going to get out of it. I've heard the story maybe once, maybe twice, so it's kind of grainy on it. So they figure they're going to get the heck out of there, right? So they see something crouched down like Spider-Man.
I've heard this story before.
At night. And then when they get closer to it, it just shoots up in the air like Superman. They said it was a vampire that just flew up there. Now, I'm pretty skeptical on that story.
Yeah,
it is pretty crazy.
I don't think it's Superman. I really don't. I'm not a vampire guy, so
it was creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it was probably a big black crow. You know, because it's dark at night and it just shot straight up. So to me, that's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, they have one around here.
What about you?
Crybaby Bridge.
My craziest story I've heard was
There's one not too far from here, Crybaby Bridge. If you park it, the kids will push your car across the bridge, and you'll get out and see all these.
Probably one of my
I think it's within a couple
closest
hours
friends,
from here.
and he told me that he was exploring an abandoned hospital down in like, not Arkansas. Arkansas. Yeah, it was down in Arkansas. He said he was exploring an abandoned hospital, and he just hears a loud screeching coming from one of the rooms, and he goes in the room, and he says that he saw a shadow figure like on the operating table. He said that he saw that, right? And then he walks up to it, and it just falls through the ground.
Oh, wow.
That was the craziest story that I've ever.
That's definitely a crazy story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to draw?
What's the hardest thing? What?
You've ever had to draw?
The hardest thing I've ever had to draw.
Oh, that's more of a parent-centered question.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm not sure if I have a copy of it in the stack of things. I'll have to look for it when we're done here in a second. I decided one time to draw on glass, and I decided to draw Goku from Dragon Ball Z. I think it turned out pretty well, but drawing on glass with paint pens is not easy. I will never do that again. So that's what I have. I don't know about these guys.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of drawings.
Yeah, my drawing skills are really limited to back in kindergarten days. So,
well, thank you for being on, bud. We'll try to get this out tomorrow for you.
You rock, buddy. We certainly appreciate you coming out and hanging with us,
That's a great T-shirt you got on too, by the way.
Nice T-shirt.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's definitely legit. So and get a chance where we're going live or whatever, give us a call while we're going live. We'd love to have you on. You can talk to us.
Absolutely.
We'd love to talk to you.
Don't forget to record your first paranormal investigation with all your new equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Videos
love to
of
see
how
that.
you use them and all that. Make sure to let us know when you post those up. We'd be more than happy to see those and view them.
And I think the best advice we can give you when you go on investigation is don't get so wrapped up in your equipment that you miss the experience around you. A lot of people get so much on a K2 meter or their millimeter or a REM pod or all this stuff, but they're missing everything else around them. So your best tool is your eyes, your ears, and how you feel.
Your gut.
So, and when you do get something on one of your machines or devices you're using, be skeptical about it. Like, okay, what would make that happen? Yeah, take a real conservative approach to it.
And we'll actually hopefully be investigating with you guys in August to the Masonic Temple.
Yeah.
Oh, the Truman Cemetery? Oh, the Mare d'Azine. No. Okay, cool. That'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure you report to us and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about it.
You want to see a really cool cemetery? Just a FYI before we close this out. I don't know what it's called. I've never seen anyone like it before. But down in Kansas City, near the Kansas City Museum, I think there's a Jewish cemetery that the headstones are all so close to one another that it looks like a city. I don't know how to. You know exactly what one I'm talking about. If you guys ever go check it out, it's mesmerizing.
Excellent.
So, until next time,
keep chumming.
Keep chumming. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.